if you want to support the show, any of the shows, either this or whichever show, I'm not on right now because it's just a blanket ad for all of them, and the website, you can go to bewareofspoilers.com. In the description for any of the episodes of Beware of Spoilers, there is the option to donate. If you don't want to donate that way, you can donate directly through the website. We do have that, mwpnews.com. And if you don't want to support that way, then going to mwpnews.com will help out because we have ads there. We don't want to keep it, where there's a lot of ads. There's a few ads. But the point is we want to make it so that way, we can sustain this for the long term. If people donate, we're never going to paywall anything, I don't think, as of right now. But if people start donating, we'll start doing cooler and cooler stuff. Like donations are how we get to cover stuff like Tribeca and other, film festivals. And, we may be able to bring on more people to help out. So if you want to help out the show and you want more content from us, by all means, even just going and giving us a 5-star rating on Spotify helps out a lot. But that's it. That's the only ad we'll have on the podcast ever. But here's whatever podcast you're going to be listening to. Good morning, and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. We did a spoiler-free coverage of this the other day, where we just talked about kind of the broad strokes from these first 2 episodes. I saw them last week, and then I believe it was Wednesday that we put up the spoiler-free thoughts from Warner Brothers, my spoiler-free thoughts based on the screeners that Warner Brothers provided. So here we're going to talk about a little bit more spoilery on the first 2 episodes of Season 2 of My Adventures with Superman, which is, for those who don't know, the anime-inspired take on Superman at, at Adult Swim on Saturday night at midnight, then the next day on, Max. That's what the word is. But yeah, one little side note, I think it's going to start next week. I'm not 100%. I got to work out a test run of it first. But these episode discussions are going to get pushed later in the day. And the reason for that is I am going to have to record them differently than I have in the past, because for the past few years, when I record these things, what I do is I record them, on the Spotify app before Spotify was the Spreaker app, and then it just automatically uploads. I can cut together the episode in the app. I can do it while I'm standing at my desk at work, and then just cut the thing together and put it up immediately. Easy, The issue is Spotify is sunsetting this feature, and because Spotify is free, I'm not going to go out and change back to Spreaker, which it's paid for. I'd rather just stick with the free and then, keep it from there. And what I'm gonna do is I have an audio recorder. I think I'm gonna use that. I believe I can hook my microphone up to it, my lapel mic, and then just go with that. That will be the solution. I have to do a test run of that, and then we will see. But regardless, that's not what we're here to talk about. So all that means is that, like, say we do a review of, like, Doctor Who or something like that, it's going to be later in the evening, or later in the afternoon, probably around 1 o'clock, somewhere in that range, that the episode actually goes live, with the article about it going up around, I can't alter that block from my phone. Alright, so it's going to be, if I can get that up around 1, probably by 1:30 I can have the article up. Yeah. But yeah, that'll be up on mwpnews.com. I just put a post last night with this week's podcast schedule. I'm going to update it with that. I also forgot to mention the episode that went up this morning, which I forgot what it was, because I set it up a few weeks ago. But regardless, here we are, and we're talking about my adventures with Superman. That's what we're doing today. I think the issue is, not an issue, I think that this show is fantastic. I'm not used to saying I have a problem with things. But the thing about this show that really works for me is it leans into the existing Superman mythos that is kind of common knowledge at this point, and does a great job of reissuing it in a way that doesn't feel derivative, and it doesn't feel like we're just getting the same thing retreaded over and over and over again, which is an achievement in and of itself. I think that last season kind of playing with the idea that the Kryptonians were going to come back and they were going to be exclusively bad guys, even Jor-El. I think that was how it ended last season. But it's been a while, so I'm not 100%. But I seem to recall that. That sounds familiar to me. But the point is, oh, cool, so they're doing something different. That could be kind of cool, this kind of antagonistic nature between Superman and his alien father. And I like the idea of framing the entire first episode around it being Valentine's Day. And it being, not only is he trying to deal with these visions he's having of death and destruction coming at the hands of the Kryptonians, but also having to deal with this burgeoning relationship that he's got with Lois. And again, the thing that I love about this, and then into the second episode, is the fact that this feels like an adult relationship. It doesn't feel dumbed down to the point where I'm watching it and I'm like, this isn't how normal humans or mature humans should be acting. If this is a high school thing, yeah, totally. If this is Smallville, I'm like, got it. Okay, understand what we're going for here. This all makes sense. But when one has a problem with what the other is doing, there's what's upsetting you. Oh, well, you doing X, Y, and Z is upsetting me. That's great. And I think too, it's the entire dynamic in the second episode between Waller and between Waller and General Lane is really interesting. I think using this as kind of the opportunity to kind of show the beginning of Waller's career too is also kind of cool, and be like, look, this is the story of how she became the Amanda Waller who runs the Suicide Squad and does all of this. And I really love that way of handling it. What else have we got that I want to talk about with this? I think the ending, introducing the scientist at Ivo who built Amazo. Not Amazo. Amazo. Is Lex Luthor. Fantastic reveal to end the episode off. And it's one of those things that, once he says that and you look at the color palette of his outfit, you're like, oh shit, they were telling us the whole time that this is going to be Lex. And introducing Lex in this way, again, gives me a Lex that I'm interested in. Love Gene Hackman, love his performance. I think the idea that, him as a real estate mogul is cool. I love Lex as the guy who's I was going to be the salvation for humanity. That was going to be me. And then this alien comes along, and he becomes that. He is the one who is called the Man of Tomorrow. That was meant to be me. And that's what causes hatred for Superman. That's the interpretation of Lex I love. That's the interpretation of Lex that it seems like they're going with here, and I'm very interested to see them do that. The action sequences continue to be top notch. I love the way they shoot the action. I love Firebird being bought by the Daily Planet, and then there are a few really funny moments in that second episode, but one of which that really made me laugh was Jimmy complaining to Perry, like, hey, like, Perry, what do I do? The interns aren't listening to me. And then Perry just bursts out laughing in his face because all last season, Jimmy, Clark, and Lois just weren't listening to him the entire season. And it's like, well, now you know what it's like. This is your problem. Have fun. Maybe the team of interns will grow on me. I'm not a huge fan of them. But it's only been an episode that we've known them. So, you know, and again, not even a full episode that we've known them. And the other thing that was really good was, again, the embodiment of Lois and Clark's relationship, where it's like they're in the elevator shaft investigating, and they see how deep this thing is, and he's like, "You're not going to jump down there." And she goes, "No, of course not." And he goes, I know you're going to try and jump down there. Don't do it." She's like, "I'm not." I see you inching towards it. I know you. I know what you're going to do. But it's like, it's small things like that are like, these two have, time has passed, but these two know each other very well. And I think we're starting to get into some real serious questions about this relationship, because it's like, now we're getting to the problem where there's an actual secret being kept. And it is Clark finding the Kryptonian beacon because he now knows Kara is out there. And he wants to find Kara because Kara can help unlock some of these parts of his past that he doesn't know. So because he knows Kara's out there, he wants to he wants to find out more about her and find out who she is and what her deal is. And, okay. And Lois, on the other hand, has the very, legitimate concern that, look, if we turn on this Kryptonian beacon, it'll let the other Kryptonians who may be scattered to the winds of the universe know where we are, and they can come, and if there's more of them than there are of you, this is a serious problem. And it's a great point, and Clark makes the decision to take the beacon anyway, because he wants to find his cousin. And again, this is one of those things that's going to end up being a bad idea. Like, we've seen this before. I mean, and the clearest example is, we watched The Flash, the TV show The Flash. Season 2 ends with Barry creating the Flashpoint timeline. He goes back in time, saves his mother's life, and creates the Flashpoint timeline. And that is the kind of thing where he, we understand why he did that, because of all he went through over the last few episodes with Zoom, with Thawne the previous season. But more recently with Zoom, it's like Zoom killed his father. And I completely you're like, look, we know this is really dumb and this is a really bad idea and you definitely should not do this. Like, we know that. But when he does it, we're like, we get it. We understand why you're doing this. And that's kind of where we are with Clark, where it's like, this is a man who is isolated. He doesn't have that, that same, he doesn't have that sense of, he doesn't feel like he belongs because he's not human. And he now knows he's not human. And now here's the opportunity for him to find out more about, and find one other person who also is on Earth and and knows that they're not human. How does that work out for him? And I understand why he would do this, but this is going to lead to an issue down the line. Maybe Zod shows up or someone. I think we saw Zod at the end of last season. If I remember correctly, Zod I think was a post-credit. So this is going to be a thing that's going to bring Zod in. He's just on the beacon now and it's going to bring in Zod. And that's something where you're like, oh shit, got it. This is, I understand why he's doing this. And it's a bad decision, but you get it. What else do we want to address with this? Look, this is one of my favorite shows. This is like I said when I did the initial preview. I was like, look, this is a show that was definitely in the conversation when I was trying to decide the series of the year last year. because it came down to Fiona and Cake, this, and what was the other big one? I mean, The Last of Us, which actually won, but it came down to those three. And I think we will be in a situation where, as of right now, this show, and to be clear, had I watched The Bear season 2 last year and not in the last few weeks, that show would have won Series of the Year. But yeah, this is something where I'm interested to see this continue, even though it's a story I've seen before, and it's a story I know well, and I've read comics, I've watched TV, and I've watched movies. This is a story that's well-worn territory, but because they're executing it so well, I'm here for it, and I'm here to tune in every week to see what else is going on. But we'll wrap up there for today. This week we are going to be doing the Young Woman in the Sea, and The Dead Don't Speak, The Dead Don't something. It's that Western. I saw a trailer for it. I was like, oh, that's intriguing. Because I haven't seen a good Western in a while. I do love a Western. So I'm here for it. So we're going to talk about those two. We're not going to do in a violent nature, I don't think, unless I have time this weekend, but that's not priority one. We may do it though. But yeah, we will be starting out with we do have some stuff coming up on the TV front. We are going to talk about The Bear when that comes out, Bear season 3. They're going to drop that all at once, so we'll do that about a week after. We are going to talk about we're going to be continuing with Doctor Who. We're going to be continuing with My Amazing Superman. We're going to be adding on, The Acolyte next week. Very excited for that. And I feel like there was one other big one that's coming up. It's not confirmed release date, so I'm not going to say it because I might be wrong. But we'll wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your